Good evening. It is 7 o'clock and I'm calling to order the regular town council meeting for December 21st, 2020. Welcome, everybody. Tricia, can you please call the roll?
Councilman Schoon? Councilman Schoon appears to be absent. Councilman Gardner?
Present.
Councilman Tulowitzki?
Present virtually.
Present. Councilor Kulturitis? Appears to be absent. Councilor Mellon?
Present.
Councilor Mellon, present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask you to please rise with me for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, brings us to, I think we said it might be the shortest 45th Street construction update that we've ever had.
So far.
So far.
All right. Can you hear me? It's Lee Randall with DLZ.
Slowly.
Hi. Yes. So to give you an update, obviously, as all of you are well aware, we opened 45th to traffic on Friday afternoon following the ribbon cutting ceremony. To date, with that, as you may have noticed, topsoil has been placed within the parkway limits. Sodding has not been completed due to weather. We have some seating in place along the south side of 45th there adjacent to CN. So some outstanding items on 45th would be architectural staining of the walls on that east side, anti-graffiti, concrete sealer, and then permanent pavement markings or temporary paint currently installed. Also under construction is the Camellia Alleyway and Wall 4. So storm sewer was completed today. Water main is ongoing. In that area, we will still need to install paved side ditch, fence, complete the water main sidewalk, subgrade treatment, asphalt, and sod. Bike path construction is ongoing as well. The asphalt intermediate is installed there on the west side between Calumet Avenue and the pedestrian bridge. And then on the east side, still have to complete that with our asphalt as well as the lift station. The lift station itself has been energized as of last Thursday. So that is currently operational. The old 45th, we still have some grading, seating, and some sidewalk to take care of there. And then as far as acceleration goes, currently my estimations are around 300,000. I still have to work out the details then with Walsh Construction to finalize that. And then of course we'll have some punch list items as the weather permits. So there'll be temporary closures there along Calumet and 45th as some of that work progresses periodically. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any at this time.
Lee, I have a question. This is Steve.
Hi, Steve.
How good did it feel to see cars driving on the through the underpass?
That was great. Even today, it was you know, kind of an odd sight to be working there behind the wall and seeing traffic constantly traveling along 45th, but certainly a significant milestone for all of us.
I'm not sure that there are words to thank you and the team for getting this done this year, but we've certainly heard lots of great things from residents, and just thank you. It's a totally different experience making that drive. I've done it just for fun a few times.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And fortunately, the weather held out for us here, so that was finally some good luck.
Very nice.
I have no questions.
No. Okay. I'm just echo Steve. We've heard lots of positives. We're excited about it. I'm excited. Every time I pass, I look down to see how many people are driving on it. So thank you. And
Thank you.
I'd just like to note that I see that Councilman Kulturitis is now present.
thank you. Okay. Well, that brings us to the public comment section of the meeting. Is there anyone wishing to speak tonight? No? Oh, you do? Okay.
Jim Witham, 8504 White Oak. I'm new to this game, so one question I have. One time I was here, we had a water increase from Hammond. Do you have any idea what the reason for that was?
You're referring to a past increase?
Past increase? Yes.
Well, I could say that we haven't increased our rates since 2018, and that was the first time we increased our rates in over 15 years. So the rate we increased in 2018 was to account for the ability to produce work to keep the system running, because we hadn't adjusted the rates in 15 years for the water. Now, if you're talking about the sanitary, that's a different thing. There was a sanitary rate increase intermediately.
Talking about the increase of the water, as I understood it, the increase in water from Hammond.
Now, there's a discussion going on right now that they would like to increase rates significantly. And then there's a process where the customers can reserve their rights and work out what that increase may be. And that is happening right now. So there's a discussion going on in the appropriate forum and channels of what that rate ought to be. So earlier in the year, the mayor of Hammond sought the first rate increase for water in about 35 years. So we all know that after 35 years, things are a little bit more expensive than they were then. So the rate is going to go up, but we disagreed with what that rate they proposed was. So we're going to have a conversation about it. Us, Dyer, Highland, Whiting, Griffith, and the city of Hammond. And then there's an appropriate venue to do that. We're following the process prescribed by law to have that conversation. And eventually there will be probably an interim rate to hold us over, and then a rate study, which is going to say, what really ought this rate be for the customers in each of those communities? What does it cost to produce 1,000 gallons of water and get it from there to here? And then what does it cost to get it from here to your spigot or your sink or your dishwasher or your hose, right? Because there's costs associated with each of those tranches. And the reality is nothing's happened that will affect your wallet yet as a rate increase. But there is a discussion about both what is the cost to get that water from Hammond to here, and what does that cost to get that water from here to you?
I'd like to bring up a point in your discussions, whether it's a valid point or not, I have no idea. But the city of Hammond has included the outbound program from the water department. That should not be sent on to Munster or anywhere else. You can put that in your discussion. Hopefully you can do something about it.
Yeah, sure, that is a good point. There are a number of items with how they came up with that rate that we respectfully disagree with, and we're having that conversation with them.
Have fun.
Noted.
Another question is probably, I'm so far behind and I don't know enough about this situation, but I'd like to know a little bit more about the South Shore coming through.
Yes, sir.
Is it still ongoing?
It is, sir. Right now in town, you'll occasionally see along the Manor corridor engineering trucks, employees, men and women with the PPE gear on, the blaze orange and the yellow and the reflective tape, kind of looking under utility covers and taking survey measurements. Those are all engineers doing locates for underground utilities and taking elevations. The NICD's project, the Westlake extension, is going to move forward. Their schedule for construction here in Munster has them turning dirt here locally in 2021. Probably towards the second half of the year in 2021.
I need to know a little bit more, a lot more about this project because I have no clue about it. The only thing I do know, and that's one thing I read in the paper, is that with this COVID mess, the Chinese are the ridership into Chicago is drastically low. I'm wondering if we're not throwing money away here.
Well, that's a question. You could say that places endure, right? Cities weather great storms over the course of time, and we are certainly in a great storm right now. Whether or not you want to trim the sails, that's a reasonable discussion. It's really a discussion to have with NICD though, because it's their project, not the town of Munster's. Now, if you want to give me a call anytime, you can call me. I'll give you my direct number and I'll give you everything I know about it. And I'll tell you who to call at NICD to get the stuff I don't know. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
I appreciate it.
no problem.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dustin, did we receive any emails?
We did not.
Okay, all right. That brings us to the end, and I will close the public comment portion of the meeting and move to the consent agenda.
Madam President, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 4-0.
thank you. Takes us to old business, and our first item is ordinance 1811, the creation of Fund 153 CARES Grant Fund. This is our second reading. We did have discussion on it last time, but is there anything that you would like to add, Ms. Abbott?
Well, there's nothing new, just that we kind of needed to be adopted, that's all.
Okay,
Just briefly, I'd like to note and apologize to Dr. Schoon and the resident that were waiting while I was giving the explanation to the gentleman here. Dr. Schoon did join the meeting. And my apologies for not seeing that while I was addressing a resident, sir.
thank you. Welcome, Councilor Spoon. We have just started talking about ordinance 1811. This is our second reading. We're on the first item of old business.
I will make a motion that we adopt ordinance 1811 as presented on second reading.
I will second. Tulowitzki.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion regarding this item? Seeing none, can you call for the vote, Ms. Abbott?
Councilman Schoon? Councilman Schoon, how do you vote?
I think you're on mute, Ken.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Councilman
Yes.
Schoon, yes. Councilor Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. Item B, ordinance 1812, procedures and standards for small cell 5G networks and facilities. This is our second reading. Mr. Vanderwood.
Thank you. Yeah, as you said, this is the second reading for ordinance 1812, so. This is the second reading for ordinance 1812, so I won't describe it in exhaustive detail as I did at the first meeting. But I'll just note that Attorney Westland and Justin and I did make a few revisions to this, which are noted in the memo here. Specifically, section 50-122 was modified to clearly state that any support structures, so any antenna supports that replace town streetlights, will ultimately become the property of the town. It also reserves the town's right to replace streetlights at any time if they are defective or if we want to update our design specs. And then it just simply delineates the responsibilities for repairs if one is damaged or doesn't function correctly.
Thank you.
I would move that we adopt ordinance 1812 on second read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilors, do you have any questions?
Not here.
Only comment is glad this did not turn into a war, given the ominous ordinance number.
Thank you, Steve.
Trying to bring a little levity before the end of the year. No further questions or comments, though.
Good, okay. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes. 5-0.
thank you. Ordinance 1813, amendment number 5 to the 2020 salary ordinance. This is also our second reading.
I would move to adopt ordinance 1813 on second reading as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Comments? Nope. Okay, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes. 5-0.
thank you. We'll move to ordinance 1814, the amendment number 6 to the 2020 salary ordinance, also our second reading.
I move we adopt ordinance 1814 on second reading.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments regarding this one? Seeing none or hearing none, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes. 5-0.
thank you. We'll move to item E, ordinance 1816. This was the credit card use for the Director of Parks and Recreation, also our second reading.
I would move that we adopt ordinance 1816 on second reading.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none.
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes. 5-0.
thank you. Our last item under old business is ordinance 1817. This is the 2021 salary ordinance, also the second reading.
I move we adopt ordinance 1817 on second reading.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
5-0.
thank you. This brings us to the new business section of the meeting, and we have item A is 45th Street and Calumet Avenue, change order number 10 for the additional design costs. Anderson, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, just for the benefit of the folks who haven't read this, the construction documents that were bid out met the NDOT standards, but for a structure of this size and complexity, the engineer of record for the structure required third-party analysis and verification of the shop drawings, which were the responsibility of Walsh Construction. There was no pay item for the production of those shop drawings, and Walsh had an outside firm design those shop drawings for the construction of the physical structure. So as there was no pay item to pull from, this is a change order, and I think it's a responsible one, considering the magnitude of freight that crosses that structure every single day. We want it as close to humanly possible, as perfect as possible. So we bring before you change order number 10 for this contract in the amount of about $50,000, $12.42. So if you would consider it, we would appreciate it. And based on known change orders right now, this is the last of the ones of any large significance so far. Lee, please don't rain on my parade right now. Save the bad news for another day.
Word.
I would move to approve change order number 10 for INDOT contract B-36229 in the amount of $50,012.42.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
yes,
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you.
So really quick, I think it's important to note because we see these every time, and if you're not paying attention, you might think, "Oh my gosh, things are off the rails here." We're still under an 8% change order threshold, and for a project of this magnitude, you'd really like to see it below 10. So, as a whole enterprise, while these are each kind of disheartening on their own, taken as a whole, we are performing better than like projects in the construction industry. So,
Good to
And
know.
Dustin, would I be right to assume that there's a couple that are outstanding right now that
There
are
are.
relatively small numbers, but really we shouldn't see any more new change orders coming in unless they're relatively minor, because the majority of the construction is substantially completed.
sure, there might be some associated with the stain or something like that. I mean, Lee, you can feel free to jump in, or I can follow up with you offline. But in terms of like big known things like an undercut of 18 inches or, a couple of more tons of steel or stuff like that, no.
And if those are the case, those are already being reviewed right now.
They would be, yeah.
And you have estimates for those already. And that's, okay, we're good.
Lee, anything to add, Mr. Randall?
No, there's nothing significant like you have indicated. There are some, smaller dollar item change orders that are pending, that are being reviewed and will be presented to the council here in the near future.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
I think we voted already on that, didn't we?
You know what, while I was saying that, I'm like, that's not right, but.
Yeah.
For the discussion afterward.
It was a bonus discussion, that's all.
It was bonus discussion. Let's see, that brings us to item B, resolution number 2079 for 2020 encumbrances.
So this is a resolution that comes before council every year at this time. These are purchase orders that are currently on the books for things, goods and services that were purchased or were performed in 2020, but we won't receive an invoice till 2021. We want to have permission to roll those purchase orders into the next year so that we can use 2020's budget for the year that those things actually happened to cover it, instead of taking it out of the New Year's budget.
I move we adopt resolution 2079 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Ms. Abbott, can you please call the vote?
Councilman Schoen,
yes,
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes.
votes yes, 5-0.
Thank you. Move to item C, finding of coverage for property casualty and workers' compensation.
Like your last item, this is something you see every year. It's granting me authorization to bind coverage for our property casualty and workers' compensation coverage. There is one difference this year in our renewal. Usually our retention, and every year that I've presented this to you, is $75,000 of self-insured, which means exactly that. So if there's a big problem, we pay the first $75,000, and then we're insured after that. Looking at the reinsurance market, our claims experience, and what the broker found going out, we found a significant savings if we were to increase that self-insured retention to 100,000. The number of claims that we hit there in that 75 to 100 is really negligible when you consider the amount of savings and premium that we are going to experience. So if you look on the memo, you'll see that our expiring premium is, let's call it $205,000. If we were to go forward and maintain that 75,000, we'd be increasing our premium by almost $60,000. Whereas if we increase that retention to 100,000, our premium only goes up about 12,000. So we're in essence betting on our past performance actuarially. I think the broker agrees that this is a wise way to manage our risk and premium exposure. So
Dustin, I have a question. Well, I'll wait until discussion.
okay. Other than that, our carriers remain the same. We continue to have good luck finding Lloyd's be a carrier for the clubhouse. The increase was nominal. This is a good year. We had a good claims year, generally speaking, and compared to what the rest of the property casualty market is doing with double-digit increases, clocking in at just over 8 is a really good outcome, especially because these rates are drastically influenced by general market conditions. Unlike the medical trust, which kind of insulates us, kind of puts us on the bumpers, like bumper bowling, like we can only go so far high, so far low. This, we're out there, we're swimming in the same mark as everyone else, and it's been a wild year for natural disasters, catastrophes in general, not goodness. So to clock in at just over 8 is a pretty good outcome, especially compared to other municipals and school districts that these carriers are insuring as well.
I move that we authorize the town manager to bind coverage for liability insurance programs as presented in the 2021 renewal packet.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Colderais, you had a question?
Yeah, the question I had, Dustin, you said that, moving from 75 to 100,000 makes a big difference. What if we move from the 75 to 150 or 200,000? I mean, does the rate, how much lower can we get if we have a good previous record? I mean, how much more, can we actually save if we actually moved up a little bit more, was my question.
If we moved up to 125, for example, we'd save 8,000 on our premium. But for that extra 25,000 that we would be taking on the risk,
yeah,
I don't know if I would suggest saying that the juice is worth a squeeze on that one.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Dustin, do we know? Oh, sorry, I had a question. On this one, do we know why it went up so much this year? So the expiring coverage went from 204, 205, you could call it, up to 268.
Yeah, like I said, in the context of the broader insurance market, where we're not insulated like we are with the medical trust, our renewals are drastically influenced by what is happening in the world around us. So we saw a summer of wild civil unrest, natural disasters, and generally a high number of catastrophic property claims in the municipal and school district markets, which is the kinds of carriers that insure us.
And the broker, there's what looks like 6 different firms are listed here. The broker got quotes from all those, and this is
in the deeper packet, you can see the market analysis and the people that they went out, the firms that they went out to, and the response that they received. So it wasn't like a set it and forget it crackpot renewal. They went out, hit the market, beat the streets, and this is what they came back with. And I think it's a pretty good outcome.
Okay. Yeah, I support that change too. I think it makes sense to save 40, math is not so good, about 50,000 it looks like, for an additional risk of 25 per incident.
All right.
Sounds pretty good.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No questions for me.
All right. So,
Councilman Schoon, you're on mute.
got it. Yes.
Councilman Schoen votes yes. Councilman Gardner
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis
Yes.
votes yes, and President Mellon
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. That takes us to item D, the Munster Police Department disposal of property. Pretty-
I would move that we authorize the police department to destroy the listed property and remove same from our current inventory.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Oh. Can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon
Yes.
votes yes, 5-0.
That takes us to item E, the Munster Police purchase lease of 6 new 2021 or current year police vehicles.
I move to approve financing of 6 Munster Police Department fully equipped emergency vehicles.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoen
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. Item F, neighborhoods paving project change order for the Holman, Harrison, and Margot.
Yes. So this is there's 2 change orders associated with the work that we did. 2 change orders and 1 typo in this memo. One is a cost overrun of $2,300 associated with a water main break that Hassie Construction helped us address in the reconstruction of the water main over on Harrison. And the other is a underrun by Reith Riley. The cost of materials and their estimate of the work was overestimated and results in a almost $97,000 change order to our benefit. So if you would do 2 things. One is ignore the typo in the very last sentence before the recommendation, and then by motion and roll call, authorize the change order to Reith Riley for a deduction in $94,387.44.
Kind of change order we like.
I will move that we move to authorize the change order for Reith Riley for deduction $94,387.44.
Well, second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
My question, Dustin, it seems like a pretty big underrun, or you could call it like estimation error. In this case, it's great that it's in our favor for almost $100,000, but just curious how that happened.
Well, recall when this was bid, this was the lowest bid. So normally I would say at the front end of a project, it might be an estimator's error because they didn't take something into account. But since we received numerous bids for this work, and this was the low bid, I got to think that it was spec'd out appropriately. If we look at the kinds of things in the actual invoice that Reith Riley talks about, there was less concrete work, I think fewer ADA crossings, and the big one is the cost of asphalt. I think the cost of asphalt per ton was less at the time of construction than it was estimated to be at the time that it was bid, which would probably explain the yeoman's share of that change order.
Okay. That makes sense. If it's a materials cost that happened to go down, that's great. The opposite of what happened to insurance experience this year, or premiums this year.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to make sure there wasn't some sort of negligence in the bid process, but also that they were the lowest bidder. That's helpful context. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Ms. Abbott, can you please call the vote?
Councilman Schoen
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. brings us to item G, Ruth Riley, application for payment number 4 and number 5, the release of the retainage.
Yep, so this is something that you've seen at the end of the projects this year. It's a accounting and best practice, and they have completed the projects to our satisfaction. They've been inspected, and our owner's representative, SDH, agrees, and we would like your permission to release that retainage to make sure they get paid in total.
I will move to release the retainage in pay applications 4 and 5 in the amount of $81,408.69.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Abbott, please call the vote.
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. Item H, the 2020-22 Community Crossings NDOT LPA grant agreement.
So good news is we received $473,685 to invest in our local roads. And we would like your permission to sign the agreement, the LPA agreement with NDOT for this work. So if you so choose, authorize the town manager to execute the attached contract with NDOT so we can get just over 1.5 miles worth of roads done this upcoming construction season.
I would move that we authorize the town manager to execute the attached contract with the Indiana Department of Transportation in the amount of $473,685 that will resurface 1.64 miles of local roads and streets within the town of Munster.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
Just good job getting the grant work in, and it seems like we benefit from these every year. So this is a $473,000 free money is a good thing. Well done.
This is the culmination of a collaboration between our Public Works Department, our very capable engineer at SCH, Jill DiTomaso, and what is a pretty detailed mapping and Pazer rating that has been, I would say, probably one of the best in the state on how we track our progress and present our progress. So there's a lot of people that go and work for this, and we all thank you for letting us continue to do some good work.
I saw this one was written up in the paper. I think Gary had gotten $1 million, which is the max. There were two of the communities I think got $1 million, and the rest, and we were pretty high in terms of what we were awarded this year. So very good work, everyone.
Great.
Thank you. I agree. Any other comments? Okay. Let's call for the vote.
Councilman Schoen,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. This brings us to the 2021 LIT Economic Development Plan.
So this is a item that we are required to produce for you every year. And in years past, we have used this for two primary purposes. One is the commitment we made to share our portion of these funds for the construction of the Westlake extension. And the other use has predominantly been with the construction of the grade separation, both in the design phase and then the property acquisition, the right-of-way clearance, and then the construction engineering. This year, and these are all estimates based on, what we know from the state gives us and our previous commitments with NICD for the 34% of the annual allocation. But items 1, 3, and 4 are really kind of guesses, frankly. So not knowing the extent to which things could go in the spring and how many hours are necessary, meaning in the construction engineering portion, because they're going to work until probably June, right? So there's significant labor hours associated with it. Just as a number to pick, I put in 100,000. We're not bound by these are just estimates. Then we have our 34% for the annual allocation for the Westlake extension. And then I included the design of the streetscape improvements as kind of projecting after we finish the public kind of conversation, and then the policymakers have a conversation, revisions are made. Ideally, we get to the point sometime in the first or second quarter where we say, this is the vision, this is what we like, this is what we want to do. And then I can immediately pivot and bid that vision out and have people start designing that, because this is just going to be kind of a concept. And then we transition to the acceptable portion of this work. And I think based on the projects that we've done and the magnitude that we've done, 250 is a good enough estimate as any for that. And then just to make sure that we are covering our, I suggest any legal purpose prescribed in the state statute for the use of these funds, in case something unpredicted or unforeseen occurs. So
I would move that we authorize a 2021 LIT capital expenditure plan as presented.
I'll second.
I do have a question. The numbers that you budgeted there, Dustin, are mainly for the estimated 2020 income. Is there anything we need to do with the balance if we ever want to go spend the balance, or if we have a project large enough, or how does the balance get expended?
well, I mean, there's a technical question of how would you go about it, and then there's a technical question of what we do from an accounting perspective. What we would have to do just from your perspective, and I'm not going to talk for the clerk treasurer's accounting portion of this, but whenever you have cash in hand, generally in principle, right? Just like as a concept, you have it, but you don't have the appropriations for it. You would have to have an additional appropriations, and then you would be legally allowed to expend those funds so long as they fit the statute that it's a legal expense. So if you have the money, you got to get the appropriations. So then you would do an additional appropriations, and then you would have to make sure that the expenditures that you're planning on making fall within the prescribed legal kinds of transactions for those funds.
Okay. Understand.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Savit, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes.
votes yes, 5-0.
Thank you. It brings us to item J, which is the 2021 annual meeting schedule for us to confirm. We kept our schedule the same as the first and third Mondays of every month, with the exception to start off the year. We have scheduled a special town council and redevelopment commission meeting for Thursday, January 7th.
And just to make the motion, I would just, the schedule that I have in front of me was downloaded on Friday. But the town council meeting is on the first and third Mondays, not the fourth one that was
Yeah,
listed on Friday.
that was updated
Right.
earlier today, and in the full packet that I sent you this afternoon,
Okay.
it was updated in that packet as well.
So with that being said, I will approve or I make a motion to accept the 2021 town of Munster regular meeting schedule.
I second it.
Motion and a second. I don't need to change anything at this point. Discussion, hearing none. Ms. Abbott, will you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. Takes us to item K, TDD Steering Committee appointment. We as a council had appointed Lynn Eltoy, and I believe that was in 2018, at the end of 2018, and she served for 2 years. Did a very, very good job representing the town. But she's not able or to continue. She does not wish to be reappointed. At this time, you can do an appointment.
I would make a motion that we appoint Leanne Mellon as our representative to the TDD Regional Development Authority.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. I would just say that I've been involved with the TDD, RDA, NICD since coming onto the council in 2016. So very familiar with it, and I'd be happy to represent the town along with Mr. Anderson. He attends the meetings as well, so there's not just one person that's involved, but just another point person. Any other comments?
I would also add that the majority of the people that are on the steering committee, those are either staff members and or council members from those respective towns, correct?
That's what
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my comments. I think it's good to continue the continuity of the service that you've given President Mellon, and to have elected official on the committee does the town good. So I'm in support.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes, and President Mellon
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. This brings us to our next item, which is the 2021 appointments to boards and commissions.
Is this just for our review at this time? Or,
That's what it says at the end there, Chuck. This is just no action at this time, just informational.
the only comment that I would make is that the appointment that Roland Raffin is on the Board of Zoning Appeals, he's actually selected from the 4 members that are on the Plan Commission. Mr. Raffin's term on the Plan Committee goes until 2022. And so while that he's appointed from the selection of the Plan Committee members to serve a 1-year term on the BZA, and then it goes back to the Plan Committee and or the council has to choose one of those 4 members to serve the BZA. So that's, I guess, the only clarification I would like to make with this memo.
Okay, right, and I thought, well, we need to appoint for, the BZA, that's going to happen the Tuesday before our 7th meeting, is that correct? So that's the only appointment that,
Well, our meeting is on Thursday, the 6th, right, in January, and the BZA and Plan Committee meets the following Tuesday.
they meet the following Tuesday, okay, all right.
I would be prepared at this point to make recommendations if that's what if the council would like to hear recommendations. If not, we can wait till January 6th.
Okay.
I do know the park board does meet on the Tuesday, the first Tuesday in January. So there is a park board meeting prior to our next town council meeting.
We would need to, no, we don't need to.
You don't have to make the appointment now. Any member whose term is expiring serves until the next person's appointed. So you wouldn't need to do it tonight. You could, but you don't have to.
Well, I believe that Mr. Soward has indicated that he is willing, and would like to serve, continue serving. But I'll leave it to the council.
I would, is there any other discussion? I can't see the other council members if they would like to speak or not.
Well, I would just say, it looks like the park board is the only one that has a meeting before the next council meeting where we might be able to do all the appointments. So I think it would make sense maybe to appoint Mr. Soward so he isn't in, so he's not confused, if that's our intention anyways. I would support that.
Quite frankly, I think the work that Mr. Hawkins does for the Hammond Sanitary District and Mr. Clark and Ms. Dunn do for the Board of Safety is also extraordinary. And I would make a motion actually at this time then to appoint Mike Hawkins to the Hammond Sanitary District, Mike Clark and Linda Dunn to the Board of Safety, and Mike Sowers to the Park Board for the next
Have
term.
they all agreed to serve?
Yes.
Yes.
Can it be an emotion all together, or does it have to be individualized?
It can be all together.
I second it.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
None for me.
Devitt, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes.
votes yes, 5-0.
Thank you. That brings us to our last item, M, executive coaching engagement with Sort Soul Group. And our Councilor Tulowitzki, if you want to say anything? or-
Yeah, I could say a few words. As all of my fellow council members know, I work as a full-time professional coach in my day-to-day life, and it's an industry that's been growing over the past decade or so. It used to be really having a professional coach support an organization used to be only for the top CEOs of the biggest companies. And now it's become something that's much more common in supporting organizations. So it's my pleasure to bring this opportunity to the council so that we can have the founder of Sort Soul Group support the town of Munster in this way with an initial engagement as outlined in the contract and the memo here.
I move that we authorize the town of Munster to enter into agreement with Sword Soul Group for the leadership coaching engagement for the amount not to exceed $8,327 as presented.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Councilman Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Gardner,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Councilman Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes,
votes yes, 5-0.
thank you. There are no reports at this time. Portfolio reports. Any of the counselors have anything to announce? No. I can see Councilor Gardner.
None for me.
None for me.
None for Kulturitis. They're silent, so I think that means there are no reports of this.
No,
time.
I'd
ahead,
like,
Ken.
I'd like to report that the park department hosted a pay to park informational meeting with a local company, a local Illinois company that puts in parking meters. And since I don't use parking meters on a daily basis, I was very impressed with how far the technology has gone since the old days when I had to park to go to school in Chicago. And they're going to be looking at other companies' material as well. But of course, all of this is thinking of whether or not we want to have paid parking at probably just Centennial Park, but maybe other places in town as well.
I think that's a good idea.
And so I think that's it for reports.
Yeah, I'm sure the Plan Commission would like to wish everyone a happy holidays. And enjoy some time off at the end of the year.
Thank you. And I would say happy, healthy holidays to everyone. Looking forward to a new.
And don't forget today's holiday, being the winter solstice. Starting tomorrow, the daylight gets longer every day.
It's my favorite time. All right, thank you. All town council meetings will begin at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. There's no meeting on the 28th. Our next one is January 7th, 2021. It'll be a special town council redevelopment commission meeting, and we are.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay,
All
we
right.
are at 7:56. And we'll move directly into redevelopment. Mr.
John,
Kemp.
you want to have a seat up here?
What's I'll save you the trip.
Okay.
He's got the chair.
Yeah.
Dustin, I don't know if the conversation was held before I joined you, but thank you very much for the work that you did on Friday arranging the ribbon cutting. It was short notice to have so many people present, including all 5 council members and people from the fellows who did the work and all. It just was very impressive, and it was fun in spite of the weather, the cold breeze.
Well, thank you for the kind words. It was possible because we have so many good people working for the town that helped me.
Good.
And for doing that, I apologize. I did not say that at the beginning of the meeting, and it was very well run and received, I believe. So thank you. For me.
And nobody handles a pair of scissors better than you do,
Yeah.
Leanne.
Thank you. That's a good heavy pair.
That's the best pair of big scissors I've seen.
Yes.
Thank you, Wendy, for that.
Yes. That was from the chamber. Those are chamber scissors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Wendy was the director the president when we bought them.
Oh, okay. She picks out a good pair. All right. Thank you. So we will move to the redevelopment and call it to order. 7:57, 8. 1:58. Ms. Abbott, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Schoon,
Present.
present. Commissioner Gardner,
Present.
present. Commissioner Tulowitzki,
Present.
present. Commissioner Kulturitis,
Present.
present, and President Mellon.
Present.
All are present.
Thank you.
Mr. Castro here?
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Mr. Castro is in the audience.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he's here. We're keeping our,
I'm here.
he's here. Move to the consent agenda. Or no, open to the public. I can't see my screen kind of went on me. So do we have anyone in the public wishing to speak for redevelopment? No? Do we have any emails from the public?
We
No?
did not, no.
Thank you. We'll close the open to the public portion and move to the consent agenda.
I move we accept the consent agenda as given.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Abbott, can you please call for the vote?
Commissioner Schoon,
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Gardner, votes yes. Commissioner Tulowitzki,
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Kulturitis,
Yes.
votes yes. President Mellon,
Yes.
votes yes, 5-0.
Thank you. What's next?
That's it.
That's it. That's what I thought. I didn't want to jump in and someone say, oh, you totally forgot about it. Okay, there are no reports. Brings us to adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:59.
All right. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right.
And to you all.